Last one.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the March Ordinary Meeting of Council. We'll go straight into the agenda. The attendances and apologies and approved leave of absence, which we have none of. Apologies from Councillor Skender and Councillor Cottrell. Declarations of interest. I have one declaration of interest from Councillor Vanderler on item 7.3.4, RFT for the Carnarvon Youth Precinct Revitalisation. The type of interest is financial. The nature of the interest is his company may be supplying material for the project. And as I said, the extent of his interest is financial. Councillor Vanderler will leave the room and not partake in the debate. Public question time. Do we have any questions from the public?
Yeah,
Could you come up here and state your name?
Hi, my name is Douglas Benyon. It's just in regards to residents in David Brown Drive. The one that's been derelict for a while that you've had some traction on it, but I just want to know exactly how things are progressing.
That item, is that 107 David Brown Drive? Yes, okay, so that's an agenda item on today's agenda for us.
Yes.
At 7.3.5, page 60 on today's agenda. So once we've dealt with that,
Terrific.
the answer will be there.
Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions? Thank you. Questions taken on notice from previous meeting. There are none. Confirmation receiving of the minutes for the ordinary meeting of Council 28th of February 2023. Move it, please, Councillor Maslin. Second to Councillor Vanderler. Is there any debate or discussion arising, councillors? There being no debate or discussion, I'll declare that adopted unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Phil. Receiving of the minutes for the Gascoyne Zone meeting minutes of 17th of February 2023 and 4.3 the Audit and Risk Management Committee minutes 9th of March. Councillor Maslin, move those. Seconder, please. Councillor Farina. Councillors, is there any discussion, debate or questions on those? Being none, I'll now declare those adopted unanimously. Announcements by the President without discussion, there is none. Presentations, petitions and memorial, there is none. So straight into the departmental reports. Item 7.1.1, actions performed under delegated authority. Move it, please. Councillor Vanderler. And Councillor Maslin seconded that. Councillors, is there any debate on this item? There being no debate, that's adopted unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 7.1.2, compliance audit return. Councillor Vanderler, you've moved that. Councillor Maslin seconded. Is there any debate, discussion? And with that, then let's adopt the unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.1.3, policy manual quarterly review and update. Councillors. I'll move it, please. Councillor Vanderler. Councillor Maslin. Is there any discussion, debate or question? There being no discussion, debate or questions, that's adopted unanimously, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Item 7.2.1, report of accounts paid under delegated authority for the month of February. Councillor Fullerton, I take it you're standing up because you wish to move the motion.
Sir, that and the following one on block, sir, for both for information purposes. Requirement standard of both.
Both of those items are by Simple majority, so councillor Maslin has seconded it. We move those on block. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Councillors, we're now addressing the two items on block. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Fullerton, you move. Councillor Vandeleur, second.
Just for the benefit of the gallery, we seem to be going ahead fairly quickly on these without discussion, essentially because they're reporting the information matters to be reported and recorded, and not really for debate. We can't debate not to pay any items. So that's why it's strong and not really fast. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. I'll take that open to debate. Is there any speakers against the motions? No speakers against. Any further speakers for the motion? There being no further debate, councillors, all those in favour?
Aye.
That's unanimous, Mr. Sill. Thank you very much. Councillors, item 7.2.3, budget adjustments as of the 28th of March 2023. This is by absolute majority, councillors. So move it, please. Councillor Vandeleur. And Councillor Maslin seconded it. Thank you. Is there any debate, councillors? I'll take it without the debate. That's the unanimous decision. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 7.2.4, independent chair of the audit committee. Recommendation. We have okay. No, wrong one. Wrong one. Go back. Page 33.
No. One's jumped over.
You don't have it? Independent audit committee chair.
I had it there before. It's not on page
Page 30.
30. Yes, 33, 30.
Flip that over.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, councillor, so got that settled. Further move it, please. Councillor Fullerton. Councillor Vandeleur. Councillor Fullerton. I'm sure you would like to speak to this motion.
Absolutely, sir. The Chamber and the staff of the Shire of Carnarvon have moved forward in leaps and bounds since 36 odd months ago when we started out. And this is another step along the road. This is becoming a highway. And an independent chair, somebody from outside the district, outside the chamber, outside everything, to independently chair the meetings of the audit committee is, to my mind, a very, very firm move forward in transparency, accuracy, oversight, and all the things that we're really, really getting to grasp with. And I must thank Mrs. Selby and her staff. It's been quite a hectic period to get to this point, and this is a real move forward. We can then employ a professional chair to oversight, bring them ideas, rather than relying on the expertise that we have here in the chamber, which is quite considerable, obviously, qualifications that we hold. And I think that I strongly recommend this to the chamber, that will give us that added layer to the onion.
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. Councillors, are there any speakers against the motion? Are there any further speakers for the motion? Councillor Fullerton, would you like to close?
And so it is.
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. Councillor, put it to vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Item 7.2.5, the annual reports. We have two recommendations, councillors. One is simple and one is absolute. So we have two motions that we must deal with. Officer's recommendation one, councillors. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Vandeleur. Councillor Maslin, did you say? Thank you. Councillors, is there any debate or discussion?
So this is the one to adopt the financial reports for
The annual report.
the annual
Councillor.
report, sorry. Yes, it is that one, just to make sure I'm on the right one. I'd like to speak for the motion and recommend this to council. We spent some time in the Audit and Risk Committee meeting going over this and acknowledging the journey that Councillor Fullerton was alluding to, that we've taken in our financial systems, where we've come from and where we are now at. And this financial report is a step in the right direction and something that the staff should be commended for. A lot of work has gone into this. And I must say the progress in our financial systems that have been made is extremely pleasing. And it was acknowledged in the audit committee meeting, and we requested that to be passed on to the staff, but given the nature of this council meeting and some people that work there, I think it's worth acknowledging it again and passing on those that feedback to the staff. And thanks for your efforts in getting this done, and we look forward to this becoming the new norm for the Shire of Carnarvon. So I recommend this to council.
Thank you, Councillor Vanderloo. Well said. Councillors, is there any speakers against the motion? Are there any further speakers for the motion? I would have expected Uncle Merton to have got a run there, councillors, but anyway. So with that, councillors. Sorry, what was
He's
that?
still in the saddling yard, he's ready.
Councillors, we'll put that to the vote. Thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Officer's recommendation too, councillors. Could I have a mover, please?
I'd like to make an amendment or make a different motion and present that to council if I can, please. Not amend the motion, but change it as it stands and then move it. And I'd like that to be changed. The time of that meeting to be moved to 5:30 p.m. And I'm happy with it being on Friday, but I could also could move that if someone had a preference for another day. Who wants to give me a nod?
So what you're changing is the entire motion, but you're changing the date to Friday, the 14th of April the time at 5:30 instead of 12. Thank you, Councillor Vanderloo. Councillors, is there any other councillors that wish to change that or put forward an amendment to that because it's been moved by Councillor Vanderloo?
Does everyone need to be there on Friday the 14th?
Refer. It's an electors meeting, so it's not a council meeting. It's a meeting of the electors. Okay.
Yeah, I'll second your motion.
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. Councillor Vanderloo, do you wish to speak to that motion?
I think everything I said in the previous motion, I was supposed to say this as well. I was trying to say.
But this
I'm in
one,
favour of this one as well for all the reasons previously stated. Urge all councils to support it. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Councillor Vanderloo. Councillor, is there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion?
I suppose I have to say Uncle Merton would be proud. He probably would be, actually. It may have slipped past everyone's notice, but we will have actually had 2 electors meetings in 1 year. And that's part of the historical problems that we're fixing. 5:30 on a Friday night for the annual ratepayers meeting. So we can either celebrate after there with a colony down in Carnarvon, or we can commiserate at the hammering that we get from the ratepayers at the Carnarvon. And I think it's rather fitting to have caught all this way up. Do we know how far we've come from? So I remind you of wars and things that went on in the past, where Uncle Merton won the Carnarvon Cup in 1896 on Brecon. And how many times you've heard Uncle Merton in this chamber in the last 36 odd months. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you very much, Mr. Selby, and all the troops that have come to this point.
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. With that, councillors on. Councillor Vanderloo, would you like to respectfully close the debate? Thank you. Councillors, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you, Mrs. Stewart. Item 7.3.1, development application, Appear, mixed use development stage 2. Councillors, we have a two-part officer recommendation. Part 2 is by absolute majority, so in the first part is by simple majority. Councillors, I have a mover for part 1. Thank you, Councillor Vanderloo. And Councillor Mazza, I saw your arm go up. Thank you. Councillor Vanderloo, would you like to open the debate? Or is there any?
I can open the debate. I'm in favour of it. I'm urging the councillors to support it.
Thank you, Councillor. With that, is there any speakers against this motion? Any further speakers for the motion? With that, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous, Mr. Councillors. Part 2 of this motion. So move it, please. Councillor Mazza. And Councillor Vanderloo seconded the motion. Is there any debate, councillors? Being no debate, that's adopted unanimously. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Item 7.3.2, request for tender and provision of town planning services. Officer's recommendation of councillor, that has part 1 on there, but I think that might be a typo. It's just the one part with 2 paragraphs. Got a mover, please. Councillor Vanderloo. Councillor Mazza. Councillors, is there any debate or discussion on this item? That's adopted unanimously, Mrs. Hill. Item 7.3.3, Shire of Carnarvon Local Planning Scheme number 13, scheme number 5. The officer's recommendation. So, councillors. Councillor Fullerton. Councillor Vanderloo. Councillors, is there any debate or discussion? Councillor Fullerton, you wish to open the debate.
Question to Mrs. Selby. As fast as we might be, and I understand that this is a unique profession to the town, it's in a unique situation, and we could uniquely find ourselves in a position where we do not have a veterinary surgeon if things don't really go nice and oiled and well. God forbid, I wouldn't want anyone to break any rules, because that would be wrong. But is there any way a little bit of oil could be possibly put on some of the complexities of the system such that we could get this on track as fast as possible?
Thank you. Through the chair, Mr.
Thank you.
President. Yes, Councillor, we're acutely aware of the urgency of this scheme amendment. Our manager of regulatory services will lodge this application with the Department of Planning immediately council resolves to progress, should they do so, and we'll contact the department by phone to urge them to prioritise this application.
Thank you, Mrs. Selby. With that, council, is there any further questions or any debate? There being no debate, councillor Mrs. Hill, that's adopted unanimously. Item 7.3.4, the Carnarvon Youth Precinct Revitalisation. Councillor Vanderloo, leave the room. Thank you. Councillors, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Mazza. Seconder, please, Councillor Fiona. Councillors, Is there any debate on this project going forward? And there being no debate, I'll declare that adopted unanimously, and it's wonderful to see it's going. Fantastic. Item. Councillor Vanderler, the item was put as per the officer's recommendation and adopted unanimously. Thank you. So we're now on to item 7.3.5, demolition of house. Councillors. Item mover, please. Councillor Vanderler. Councillor Fullerton. Councillors, I will speak to this motion. So, councillors, Councillor Vanderler, would you like to open that?
It's open.
Thank you. Councillors, I'd like to amend this motion by leaving only the slabs and the dividing fences. I apologise, Mrs. Hill. Sincerely. I've got to try and reword this, and I forgot to do it. So I do really apologise. I would like to read, taking down and removing the house, shed, internal fences and birds fences, and leaving only the slabs and the dividing fences and leaving only the dividing fences.
Adding slabs into here.
Yes, and adding, and then the buildings, the shed, building slab, internal fences. Does that help?
Basically, you want the slab removed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just leave the dividing fence.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll get your chance, Councillor.
So you've got to leaving only the dividing fences.
Everything
That's
else.
just your neighbouring fence.
Removing the neighbours as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Can I get a second for that, please? Councillor Mason, put your hand up first. Thank you.
So when you say second, that the motion had been moved and seconded already.
Yeah.
It's an amendment,
I want to amend the
so this
motion.
is the amendment to the motion.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got to vote for the amendment first, and then we can vote for the motion. That's pretty
But
Well,
don't you need to ask the first and the second?
Oh, that's right, sorry.
Yeah, and yes, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Not if it's, no, that would be if it's a minor
Amendment, it's a major amendment, you've got to vote for it. Yeah, so, sorry. It's okay, councillors, we are now voting on the amendment as put, which is seconded by Councillor Maslin, which is to include the removal of this property, the building slab in the process. With that, I'll open the debate. Thank you. So, councillors, are there any speakers against that motion? Against the amendment, sorry, yeah, the amendment, no, the amendment to the motion. Are there any speakers against the amendment to the motion? I'll speak for the motion and close the debate then. So I think it's, even though there is an added cost to doing so, the benefit of having a clean slate going into the future on that site will add value to the property, which I firmly believe with some work, those property values will increase in that area. It also reduces the chance of the use of that slab for nefarious activities we really don't want happening. And I think it would probably be used extensively. So I think to clean the block up completely, tidy it right up is the real benefit to the entire community. So with that, councillors, I close the debate and put it to the vote. All those in favour to the amendment? Unanimous, Mr. Hill, thank you. Councillors, now Councillor Vandeleurs' motion with the amendment. I'll put it to, is there, Councillor Vandeleurs, would you like to open the debate on the? Councillors, are there any further speakers for the motion?
The pair of yous. Come on. Mr. Selvey, question. As to the costs which the taxpayer will be incurring to clean up the site, will there be a memorial placed on the title such that we could recover the costs, the Shire can recover the costs at some later date should something occur to cover that? And I do notify councillors that the building surveyor said the slab's unlikely to be used. I don't know why it was left in there, but anyway, that was some cost, amount of cost that was there. So, Mrs. Selvey, could you reassure us that a memorial will be placed on there such that we can cover costs in the future?
Yes, Mr. President, yes. Thank you, Councillor. Firstly, the slabs were left in to try and reduce the cost in the cost to council. The first stage in trying to recoup the costs of demolition will be to try and get the costs from the Department of DPH, Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage, as soon as possible. Should that not prove fruitful, we would indeed put a memorial on the block of land.
Thank you, Mr. Selvey. That was a question, councillor. Do you wish to speak for or against the motion?
In that case, I strongly recommend this motion to the chamber.
Thank you, councillor Fuller. Are there any speakers against the motion? Being no further speakers to the motion, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you, councillor. It's unanimous. Councillors, item 7.4.1, improving flood preparedness project delivery. And councillors, a mover, please. Councillor Mason. Councillor, seconder, please. Councillor Farina. Councillor Mason and councillor, is there any debate on this item? Being no debate, this is always adopted unanimously. Item 7.4.2, LRCI Phase 4, nomination of projects. Councillors, someone like to move the motion as presented, please, or would someone like to move the motion? Councillor Fuller. Councillor Vandeleurs. Seconded it. Councillor Fuller, may I open the debate?
Thank you, sir. I thank the staff for a very comprehensive report on not just the 4 put, but there was a lot of other projects considered. So this wasn't an overnight thing. And I have put a lot of thought into behind the tramway bridge, the good old 1904 erection, which was in the time of Uncle Merton, for the cartage of wool across to the jetty. And whilst the other projects have got merit, and they all have merit, that's why they're in there, the tramway bridge does more than simply fix what we have, to quote the president's mantra. It's an iconic thing in an iconic place, and it supports the development which we've just approved partially off here for the DG group on the police station and the courthouse. And it shows a commitment by the local authority for that entire Fascine area. You're getting more than a bang for your buck. You're getting a nuclear weapon on this one, because I believe that the structure at the end for the Historical Society will be built for the old, what was originally there. So that all becomes part of the whole deal. It demonstrates a connectivity with the North Water, with the real estate development that's happened in there for our stately home, so to speak. And once we start to tot up all those non-fiscal aspects to it, we get a social aspect, which is, of course, people walking in the vista is improved. The amenity, the ambience of the whole Fascine is part of it. And we get a certain environmental impact here, because there's connectivity then to Whitlock Creek if you want to go and see the crabs or knock a golf ball around over in Beveridge Island. There's a whole raft of things which are way, way more than what the cost-benefit analysis in fiscal terms gives us. So for that reason, every time I thought about it, I was thinking bang for your buck, and I'm going, every time I came back to that tramway bridge for those reasons, it's just because we get more bang for our buck. So that's what influenced my thinking towards this whole thing. And exclusively for dump the whole lot on number 8 with Brecon, and I really strongly. I know there's a lot of other things that could be there, but this one really shows our commitment to the greater world, the wider world. Despite everything, at least we're moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor Fulton. Are there any speakers against the motion?
Good question.
Yep.
Just for clarification, Councillor Fulton did touch on that, but is that a guarantee that that's the plan, to put that shelter back at the end, the tramway bridge? The shelter that was removed? Is that the plan, or?
So we have a look. Okay. So on page 286, 87 of the schedules, the project proposal describes a summary of the project works, and one of the items listed in there is the works may include but are not limited to, and there are a range of works there. I'm sure to have included in there a structural assessment of the tramway bridge. Just having a look. Repair or replace the bridge piles, bridge planks, balustrades, upgrade the drawbridge, lighting installation of a shelter on the western side of the bridge, and interpretive signage. So that's on page 287.
So the shelter is there.
It's, I guess, probably until we do a full cost analysis, we can't really refine the exact works, but that would come back to council once we have a better cost estimate.
Okay.
Okay?
It's coming back to council, that's, yeah.
With the details.
Okay.
So that was a question. So, councillors, are there any speakers against the motion? Councillors, is there any further speakers for the motion? All right, I will speak to this, even though I didn't say it at the start. I will speak to this. There's a couple of really important things here. And I really wish to thank the staff for the effort they've gone into, because we have 4 almost shovel-ready projects sitting there, so that we are ready to go if we can find grants or we get offered grants, whatever. So that's absolutely wonderful. I think there's probably a need down the track to discuss the priority on the other 3 projects if this one gets up. This will be the first of the 4 to get up, but I think we need to prioritise that. I'm not sure if now's the real time to do so. But really importantly, it shows the system used by local governments actually working. Because this job, or this project, has been part of a plan this council has had for nearly 20 years. The development of this foreseen waterway and then the expansion out to Babbage Island has been on the books, the planning books, for nearly 20 years. So it's finally happening, which is absolutely wonderful. Funding has held it up. All sorts of things have held it up. Other things being prioritised. But it's something that the community has wanted to get done, and we're actually producing what the community wants. So I am really pleased that we've reached that stage, and I think if this motion gets up, and I implore all councillors to vote for it, because it is something the community have wanted for a long time. Thank you. So with that, Councillor Fullerton, would you like to close the debate?
Well, thank you, sir. Reminds me, I'd forgotten a whole lot of stuff, but I do recall Mrs. Fullerton and myself and Gavin Mason and deceased, unfortunately, my dear friend, Ray Smith and Ricky Freeman. We kind of preempted things by dragging the little fascinated Reg up Christmas Eve, knowing that there would be no bureaucrats around to stop us for a little while. And we dragged it up from the yacht club in front of the Carnarvon Hotel and set to work. Ricky started there on Christmas Day, pumping up the town beach. And that was I'd forgotten all about that. But I recognise all those people that did that. It was a real help yourself type thing. By the way, they didn't come to understand what we were doing until the middle of February, and by then it was just about done. Yeah, you're right. And it's not 20 years ago, it's near 30. So, yeah, let's keep going. I'm on. Keep moving, son. Roll on.
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. With that closes the debate. All those in favour? Councillors, item 7.4.3. Councillor Nasmith. Move that motion. Second, please, Councillor Langley. Councillors, is there any debate on this item?
I have a question for Mrs. Selby. Have we received any indication from the state for the transfer of this roadway directly to the state in accordance with the resolution previously passed in this chamber?
Councillor, we have received from the state advice about the criteria that would need to be addressed in order to present a business case to the state for a transfer of that road. And staff have got that as a project priority to start gathering the data to address those criteria.
No further questions, Councillor Fullerton? Councillors, that was not debate, that was a question. Is there any debate, councillors? There being no debate, I'll declare that unanimously adopted. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Councillors, item 7.4.4. Councillor Randall.
Before anyone moves this motion, I'd like to propose an amendment to the officer's recommendation.
You propose a amendment.
Well, finding, addition, please, Mrs. Hill, those two lines there. So summary construction.
you need to read it out.
Oh,
Could you read it out, please?
sure.
Thank you.
So I've just added some additional information there, and that is to refine the timing for which council would like this work to be done. And what we're trying to do is mitigate the risk associated with unfavourable weather. So we're more likely to have rain events in May, June and July, and also mitigate the impact that we're going to have on the town and businesses during one of our busiest times of the year. So the additional points we've added there is, as the officer's recommendation, but including the contract possession of the site to occur no earlier than the 1st of August 2023, and for the CEO to manage any impact on costs that might have within materiality level of the policies that we've got for that. And for background information, possession of the site to occur on or just after the 1st of August, we'd expect there to be a closure period of that road at some point in September, probably for around 4 weeks. 4 weeks. So I think that's much more palatable than a 4-week closure during our busy season. So I move that motion now.
Thank you, councillor Vanderlei.
I'll ask for a second.
Second to councillor Maslin. Thank you. Councillors, I forgot to remind you, we're moving officer's recommendation 1 with the adjustments by councillor, or inclusions by councillor Vanderlei. So officer's recommendation 1, is there any debate? Speakers for the motion? No?
I'd like to speak for the motion.
Thank you.
We have, obviously the main drag is an area that's has required work for some time, and there are other sections on that road that are going to require work in the near future. So this is a part of an improvement, I guess stage 1 improvements to that road, which has presented problems for almost since it was constructed, I believe. So it's obviously a contentious issue because at the time when that road was constructed, which was before my time in Carnarvon, it came a large impact on the people that were on the main street. So, and has continued to impact those people with degradation, and basically it's falling to pieces over that time frame and the works that have been carried out. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction. I'm confident that it is, having reviewed the submission that we've received. I think it's going to provide a good solution for the Carnarvon road. Hopefully it'll last for a long time. But I think we've mitigate all the risks as best we can with this job and given ourselves every effort, every chance of success to get a good outcome here. So I recommend this motion to council.
Thank you, councillor Vanderlei. Councillors, are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? Councillor Vanderlei, would you like to close the debate, please?
Debate's closed.
Thank you, councillors. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous, Mrs. Hill. Officer's recommendation 2 by absolute majority. I'll move it, please. Councillor Vanderlei. Seconder. Councillor Fullerton. Councillors, is there any debate? There, councillor.
Sir, I've just got to recognise the privations that our tradespeople, our traders, our merchants, pretty much anybody that's in the community of Carnarvon put up with this. I'm sorry I ever heard about it. And I know that Mr. Padgey would be sorry he ever heard about it either. But hopefully this brings all this nonsense to an end, and it's time it ended. And I strongly commend this. I know this is a supporting legislation to the first, and I must commiserate with traders in the main street for all this stuff that they've been through.
Thank you, councillor Fuller. I'm not sure that that was a statement, but I'm not sure if it was for or against. Anyway, I take it was for. Are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? Seeing no further speakers, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. Unanimous, Mr. Sir. Councillors, I refer you back to the index. Applications for leave of absence, are there any? There are none. Of motions of which previous notice has been given. None. Questions from members without notice. Are there any questions from members? No. Councillor Fullerton, you asked some questions earlier on. Will there be a
Yeah,
last meeting? Will there be a ballot box located at the Shire offices? Yes, the returning officer will leave a sealed ballot box at the Shire office so that electors can deliver their completed postal vote and place it in the ballot box. This will be stored each evening in a secure location within the Shire Administration building. Then there's question 2, what measures will be taken to deter fraud? And question 3, what penalties are in place for fraud? Answers to question 2 and 3 put together below. There are provisions within the Local Government Act for offences. See sections 4.9 to 4.91 and S 4.92 concerning fraudulent behaviour at local government elections, particularly around interfering with ballot papers and impersonating another electoral candidates, taking charge of envelopes and containing ballot papers. The Commission is exploring options to include messages on postal voting packages reminding anyone interfering with those packages of these offences. Ultimately, the best defence against the misuse of voting packages is for greater numbers of electors to take an interest in voting in local government elections. To this end, the Commission uses its education and awareness tools to promote local government elections, but broader advertising campaigns are funded and coordinated by the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries. The role of local governments and their councillors in promoting greater participation in local government elections cannot be overestimated in helping reduce the possibility of fraud. Instances of suspected fraud can be reported to the Commission. Unfortunately, due to budget constraints, the Commission does not maintain an investigation team outside of election events, and even during events, the team is kept to a minimum to minimise the overall cost of elections for local governments. As a result of instances of fraudulent behaviour at recent local government elections, the Commission is working with the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries, sorry, to improve the investigation and complaint handling capacities in both organisations. All staff involved in the elections who are selected by the Commission must sign a declaration confirming their impartiality, as well as abiding by the Commission's Code of Conduct, including conflict of interest training. The Commission provides extensive training to returning officers about the appropriate conduct of elections, including count processes and the ability of scrutineers to oversee the count wherever possible. Returning officers also provide a useful avenue for recording reported instances of suspected fraud, as well as providing advice to candidates about the rules governing the handling of election packages and ballot paper envelopes. Government elections, particularly around interfering with ballot papers, impersonating another elector, or candidates taking charge of envelopes containing ballot papers. Your answers are there, Councillor Fullerton.
Thank you, very comprehensive, and I take it that's a warning echoed and made public to all those who might be of mind. Thank you.
Given the length of those answers, Councillor Fullerton, I'd prefer if you only ask them one at a time in the future, please. Thank you. Question 4, Councillor Maslin, will there be an extra cost should a councillor who is not up for re-election decide to step down? This will depend on the ward affected. If it was for a ward that didn't have a councillor election already being conducted, Coralvale Plantation, then there would be an increase in cost, as there would now be another election to conduct. The additional increase of the cost estimate would be an extra $1,000, plus including GST.
Mhm.
So that answers those questions. Right. Happy? Urgent business approved by the presiding member or decision of council. I don't think there is any. Matters of which the meeting is going to be closed to the public. None. Date of the next meeting will be Wednesday, the 26th of April. Hopefully we'll see you all here. And with that, councillors, I'll close the meeting, but I will ask councillors if you would mind staying on for an extra few minutes once everybody leaves. And ask Mr. Silver, could you stay too, please?
Yes.
Thank you. With that, the meeting is closed.